Hello, everyone, and welcome back to part two of Create Expectations. If you have not watched part one, you can go watch it on Sarah's channel and like, subscribe, look at Little Man, all the fun stuff. Leave a comment,
He's
and then
pretty awesome.
yeah, and then you can come back here. And we've also got Ando with us today,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, thanks for having me.
yeah, we're pumped. So we're doing this a little bit more podcasty style because there's nothing to talk about at
Right.
all, nothing to show. Um, yeah, so we basically already talked about Cal. Where do we want to just go into Zepho? Because I feel like Cal is tied to Zepho.
I think it's a good
Right.
idea.
ZEFFO, a good idea.
Uh, um, so what were your initial thoughts with the Zepho, with all the information that they gave us?
I, I just wanted it to be awesome. I wanted there to be something cool and something exclusive that you couldn't find anywhere else, or something
Yeah.
rare. Like I don't know. I know that not everyone has a bronzium wiring, obsession slash
Mhm.
bottleneck like I do. But like for all of my accounts, that's the big bottleneck. That's apparently the style I play. So something I do necessitates that, whether you spend a lot of money or not. And so I want like the novelty of just getting like 1,000 bronzium wirings from like some mission on Zepho
Mhm.
just like really appealed to me for some reason. Like not even just that, like maybe like give us like an Omicron or give us some kind of cool like reward. And I wasn't looking for more of the same, frankly, especially in not platoons. I was just like the biggest buzzkill. I was like, I hate platoons so much. And but I will say this: they didn't give us more characters that were like the newer group of characters. You know, like
Mhm.
they didn't require like the new Tuscans, for instance.
Yeah, that was a relief actually because I think it was everything after Afra could have theoretically gone in there.
Right. So so yeah, I was hoping for something fresh and new, and this is just like, hey guys, we added some territory battle to territory battles. Um, what about you, Ando? What did you think?
Yeah, I was like trying to figure first, like I was trying to figure out what the heck it was trying to say. I was like, okay, so the reward structure I think kind of threw me off because I was like, wait, so at 3 stars I get 1 star or something like that. I was like, what's going on
Yeah.
here? um, but then and I was like, and does the 1 star add on to the 2 stars? Like that's not normally how this works. So I was like, it's just probably the 2 star total. So I had some questions just on that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm probably a far ways away from even being able to get to Zepho. I
hmm
I feel like I was definitely wanting probably more like yeah, some sort of exclusive. I thought maybe here comes a new character or
hmm
something. I don't know. Uh maybe it's too early for that. And like two CG's, I guess, defense, if I will. It's the first planet. Like maybe they just want to kind of ease into it a little bit. Like they're not going to be like, oh yeah, like here's this no, like new meta breaking character like Riva.
hmm
Um, and you better divert everything to Cal, and you better unlock him and get 50 shards so that way you can beat up on people. Like because I think there's a lot going on in the game, right? And there's like new ship, new Cal, all this other stuff that like adding that would have been like, man, how can people keep up with the pace of this game?
hmm
So in some cases, like I'm like totally good with it, but yeah, like I was kind of expecting something, I guess, a little bit more.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, because I feel like they hyped it up so much, especially when they first introduced this territory battle and they were like, yeah, it's modular, we can change it and we can add zones and all this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And then exactly what you're saying, Sarah, it's just more territory battles to the point that like our guild has already, you know, kind of enacted, so to speak, a like just deploy type mentality with territory battles because you need like the time management in this game now.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just not like the rewards. And I say this as somebody who like loves territory battles. I'm like, yeah, this is
Right.
great. We can
It's
do
been your
this.
bread and butter forever. Yeah.
Yeah, the rewards don't entice me to want to go to ZEFFO. Um, I was I was speculating on Monday night actually with a couple of people about what we could see there, and I was like, it would be really cool if it was something unique, instead of just like a star or whatever. Um, and I was like, what if it was
I thought it was
like
gonna be 3 stars for what it's worth.
right,
I hoped it
right? And I was like,
didn't pan out.
but I was like, what if it's like a reward chest kind of thing, and you get like signal data and like all these things that have kind of been gated now, and you don't need tons of it, but it's another influx of them to kind of alleviate it a little bit. I'm like, that would be enticing, like, especially now that you have the relic materials so readily available from the raid. Like, why not just add some more of that there? And they didn't. And now also I have a question which they didn't answer because in their first post about the bonus zones, they said that it would remain open until you gain a star in that zone. Technically, there's only one star to be gained, even though there
Hmm.
are three reward tiers. So if you hit reward tier one on day one, is that it? Or is that considered your preload until you get to the one full star? Because it doesn't say it, and I would like to know.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
My knee jerk reaction is actually had that thought too of I was like, oh well, that I guess I just made the assumption, and that's something I make fun of you for, Sarah. So I shouldn't. Um, I assumed that it was going to just be like, oh, the only good thing about it only giving us 1 star is that we're going to that we don't have to like it
Reload.
takes a while to get that way, so then we can conclude our business, so to speak, and then get the star and move on. Also, just the thought of like, well, if you get there on day 3, not that everyone is at that point. In fact, I don't know if my guild would do that either. But if we did, you could theoretically just kind of trickle in resources to that place
Yeah.
and where it fits, and kind of just sneak in an extra star without that much extra effort. In theory, like I haven't looked at the numbers and stuff. You would know way better than me, but
We
um,
we've actually like already in our officer chat talked about like initial thoughts about it and have said like for now it will probably whenever we do unlock it, it will probably
right.
be a like dumping ground of okay, we have all this extra GP and we're preloading elsewhere. So let's just dump the extra GP here and
Well,
call it call it a
well,
day.
it'll be like 6 months till we unlock it, unless you wail on it now, Sarah.
Oh man.
Oh
So
yeah. By the way, Ando, when are you joining ODB, man? We would, because we
Uh, I don't know.
I don't want to just like kick you while you're like super down, but we kind of destroyed you in
Oh, yeah.
Territory Wars
I know. I was
against all
actually
odds.
so shocked because like in my mind, like, okay, so I knew we got matched, and then I was like, okay, territory war started. I got like 1 or 2 attacks in. My wife went into labor. I pretty much put down the phone from that point on. I didn't attack at all
Right.
in territory wars at all. Like, so I feel bad because I'm part of probably the reason why this happened. But I let him, to be fair, I let him know, and I was like, hey guys, I'm not going to be playing for the rest of the day, probably more because
Right.
all this stuff. And like I fully expected for us to win. And then like, yeah, I come back like after, everything's all done and I got maybe a few hours of sleep. I wake up the next morning and like everyone's like, bro, like what the hell? It's like I got messages from you and I was like, oh my God. I even went into our own chat. I was like, guys, we just got beat by a territory battles like PvE guild or whatever. Like these guys love like PvE and they just killed us. Like, anyways, it's fine. Like, that's the whole reason why I lost or not left First Disorders because I was just like, I don't know if I can. Like, it's summer months. I want to be able to, if I even join at all, like, I don't, maybe my my attendance might be spotty. But yeah, no, that was funny. Like I was like at first I was like a little bit like really like, but then I was like, you know what, good for you guys. Like that's a good win. I'm glad for you guys. But
Thanks.
yeah, you know, maybe eventually paths will cross.
Well, to be clear, like I actually put more territory war Omicrons on my alt than on my main,
Yeah.
because ODB does take territory wars somewhat like mostly seriously. Like,
Yeah,
Like
we're not
casually,
gonna
seriously.
yeah,
like they're opportunistic and to
right.
a far greater point than like my main account's Hot Ski Patrol, where it's just like, yeah, we have to have a pretty good reason to awaken from our slumber. But
Yeah,
ODB usually I'm like, yeah, like we usually go in swinging, even
yeah,
if
Hmm.
even if it's like we're not gonna win, unless it's against like one of the Gauntlet guilds. So,
right.
I
Yeah.
don't think there's any great shame in you guys, in
No,
taking
no.
a loss to ODB, even if it was a little unexpected. So,
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It was yeah, it wasn't inspected, but yeah, and I know Bodhi like he sends me screenshots and like you guys have beat actually pretty good guilds, so I knew it was a possibility. I just didn't think that it was like gonna happen because I think it was my first territory wars with. But anyways, I was like, yeah, like okay, cool, like you know,
yeah.
we'll do fine. And then like yeah, then like fast forward like I don't know 20 hours or whatever later and like I'm getting all these messages and I was like what the hell like we lost. And it was so confusing too because I think it was Bodhi that first sent me the screenshot and you know how it's like it flips for you're always on the left side, so I was like oh yeah like of course we won kind of thing.
Oh, right, right.
Oh.
I was
Yeah.
like
That
I was
always
like,
messes with me too.
yeah and I'm like
Yeah.
oh wait what the hell I'm on the other side. So
oh.
No,
uh,
it was cool. Like everyone is excited about the win.
yeah
So,
that's a great win.
yeah. So just let me know when you're joining. Is about the main thing. So
Sounds good.
that's
Yeah.
good. No, so back to, I mean, that is actually a remarkable news. So I'm glad we got to talk about it just a
Yeah.
minute. But yeah, like I know this is your segment, Sarah. So I'm sorry. I don't want to just
No,
steer
you're good.
it. So beyond ZEFFO, which we're all a little disappointed in, it is what it is.
Uh-huh.
What about the other stuff that they added? Because
Hmm.
I feel like there's been a lot of people are get real short sighted about like I hated this because we didn't get the Grand Inquisitor update. But the
Right.
reality is there was so much released that I don't think you can, and I'd made a video about it already, but I don't think you can just take this whole release and give it one grade and say that's what it is. Like this was an okay update, or this was an awesome one. What about the like user interface stuff?
Hmm.
Like I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. I've already talked about it at length on my own channel. I would love to hear what you guys think, though. Sorry for hijacking, Sarah.
No, you're good. Um, I thought the user interface updates were good. I like that they also included stuff that we didn't necessarily ask for. Um, like that the turn order, whatever widget you want to call it. Um, I thought that was like just a nice little throw-in thing. It doesn't, work to the full extent
Right.
of it, but
Yeah.
like
It's not all the way there. Yeah.
at least it's one of those things though where like for me if I am looking at somebody, like sometimes I'll be looking at whatever the enemy team is that I'm facing, and I'm like, which one of you two is actually going to go next? Like you're so close, and like that's the kind of thing that I would want to use it for. Um, so like charming or manipulation not working for it properly is a thing that I can get over because I'm just going to be using it for those kind of one-off scenarios. But I thought that was a really good addition. The territory battle stats thing I think is interesting. I think I would be more excited about it. Not that I'm not excited about it. I think it's good. I think it's really clean and easy to see everything now. Um, I'm excited to see it once we actually like in game and play around with it. Once we actually get a territory battle like live. Um, but because we've sort of taken this like chill attitude to territory battle where we're like, okay, yeah, like just go in, deploy and do your platoons and do what you can kind of thing. Um, it almost feels like I will be more excited about it when we're pushing for the next thing, like the next star or whatever it is. You know.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. That does make sense. And it's how do you like the territory battle interface thing? I guess we haven't even seen it yet, but I keep thinking, and maybe you don't have the same thoughts, but I keep thinking like that'd be cool if they did that for territory wars instead.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot more. I like that they're, and it seems like they're trying to give like officers a little bit more robust tools. I'm all
Yeah.
for that, but yeah, I think like territory wars can use it. There's been so many times where like someone will pick the wrong Ray as the leader or something like that, and it's just like be nice if a territory war officer could be like, "Hey, I just removed your squad. Go ahead and reset or whatever," you know. Um,
Hmm.
or yeah, just like there's certain things that like always pop up, or like yeah, like this is like probably more towards new guilds, but it's like you ask for like geos in your front, and like there's always that one guy that's just like, you guys meant like GMY lead, right? It's just like some like really horrible team that's like, okay, dude, like I might ban you, like I might kick you from the guild, and we'll just have them all Eliza here.
Well, and
Like,
like that kind of stuff we know can happen because in DSA, which was the game that Meathead came from,
yeah,
they had like a guild war thing.
yeah.
Um
So
and
it
all
was like a 3v or 1v1v1, right? Or something.
yeah, it was three guilds like up
Yeah.
like all at once. It's awful. Like you want to talk about time management,
Yeah.
yikes. But all of the team placement is done by the officers. So you just go in and you build your
Oh yeah.
teams, and then the officers are the ones going in and like filling the zones and everything.
Yeah.
Um, at least it was when I was playing it really briefly. But
Yeah.
like that's the kind of thing where you can be like, oh wait, yeah, we actually don't want this here, and you just
Yeah.
remove it.
That was
Yeah.
you guys did an H&N episode where you talked a ton about DSA, Sarah, and
Yeah.
that was like the one I listened to before the first episode like I recorded with you guys
Yep. Okay.
way
Yeah, I
back in the
remember which
day.
one you're talking about. Uh
And I was like, are they gonna want me to talk about that? Because I don't know anything about
huh.
I don't know anything about that game.
Uh,
That's funny.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Nobody knows anything about it anymore.
Yeah.
Is it's still going?
I think it is. I honestly couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
It,
I don't know.
I,
I will say, not to get off topic, but just to quickly get off topic, when people complain about like Galaxy of Heroes not being free to play friendly and all this kind of stuff, I'm like, go play that game for a day and then come back and tell me that it's not free to play friendly, because that one was. You're talking, um, like if Grand Inquisitor was going to be released, the day that his event drops in game is the same day that all 5 of his requirements go farmable.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
that's it's a little tricky.
yeah. Anyway, um, yeah, it's this interface though for. Do you think though, like, do you think because they're doing this with territory battles, then they would be more inclined to do it for territory war?
I I would hope so. Because yeah, I think they're changing a lot of like I think they know about officer burnout, because they've kind of alluded to it, and then just in general like player burnout too, and
Mhm.
they're trying to figure out like how best to use people's time and whatnot, and um I think like there's just been a lot of, in the past year really, like we've seen a ton of UI interface tools that have been implemented to the game that really bring them no like monetary value. Like I
Mhm.
look at the modding thing, and it's I mean it's kind of like a direct rip from Hot Utils, but like that's something that was never going to bring them like any monetary gain, but it actually is a really powerful tool if you
Mhm.
use it right, and it can save a ton of time with modding. Like it can give you batch mod selling. That just wasn't a thing. Like we used to have to sit there and individually like be like, hey, okay, cool, like let me let me find this and I'll sell this one kind of thing. And now I'll go hit like one of the separatist and Jedi one that gives you a ton of health mods, and then I'll just level them up all at the same time. I'll find the ones that don't have speed and I sell, 15 of them or whatever that it is. And it's just like that takes literally like 4 seconds because I've had all these filters set out for it already. And that's something that, like, again, they not expected to bring them any money, but they did it. So I'm hopeful that they're still like updating like the background stuff in the game, the stuff that's like
Yeah.
the framework, I guess, so to
Yeah.
speak. And so I'm hopeful. It'd probably be another 6 months or so, but they'll get to it, I hope.
No, it's a professional pride thing too, a little bit, which is always nice to see in the people who are developing the game. Like I know that we as I don't know, as players, as content creators, all this, like we tend to vilify all of CG for being greedy, and it's like, I mean, they're a corporation they literally exist for that reason, to make money. So we tend to be like that's it. They're greedy and that's it. But like all the developers making it, I like that they're not just like clocking in. They're like, all right, what do you want me to do, boss? Nope, okay. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm off the clock. I'm done. I'm on my lunch. Whatever. Like, you can tell that there's a lot of love that's put into this game. That they didn't necessarily have to. And I really appreciate that. I would love to know what conversation went on to get us the Conquest sim.
Yeah, that
Like
is
I would be
huge.
like, to me that is incredibly important. I'm guessing Ando feels very similarly, and the fact that they're not costing anyone anything to do it, like, it's just, I mean, you have to spend for energy and all that, but like otherwise you get to just do it. Like it's just there. To me, it's like magic instead of having to pay for one of the passes, which I think most people would have predicted. Sarah, how much are you going to use it? Not for
Um,
Professor X.
well, so Professor X, this is the thing is now I'm like, oh, do I like rejig my brain in a way of how I normally play Conquest? Because I slow play, not slow play it, but like I do it in a specific manner that like I will get all the feats done. I will get red crate. It's usually 3-4 days before we're done.
Right.
A lot of it is done on the Datacron nodes, but I'm working on feats when I'm doing that, right? Like, and that's kind of the downside of this is, which I mean, and this isn't a criticism at all. I think it's 100% fair that when you sim it, it's not going to count towards a feat. So,
Right.
and I think that's a great workaround as well by not locking this behind having to get red crate first. Which
Yeah.
means if you know that you can't get red crate, for example, as soon as you hit the point where you're done, you can just go sim. Like that's fantastic. Um so now I'm kind of like, do I rejig though my brain and how I tackle Conquest so that I could theoretically just go and sim afterwards instead.
Like week 1 is feats, week 2 is Sims
Yeah.
or something like that. And how big of a deal is this to you?
I think this is huge, and I think like it's a huge home run for them, and again, I think they know what they're doing, because there's part of me that says that there's a population, and I might even be a part of that population, where now that datacrons can be simmed,
Mhm.
I'm more willing to spend the 100 crystals refreshes, because it's like, oh, if it's not going to take me any extra time, like, it's going to take me 30 extra seconds, like I can do it. The reason why I stuck to 50s before is because I literally don't want to play that game mode. like, so, and like, but now that it's like something that can be done, like literally at the snap of a finger,
Yeah.
like I always had excess crystals, that part
Mhm.
never changed. But the problem is, like I said, I didn't want to spend any more time on it. It's an hour a night kind of thing. And So for me now, it's like, okay, like this might, and like what a genius move that is if you can encourage more of a population to engage with datacrons, right? Like now you see more of them out in PvP, more you
Mm-hmm.
see of them out in PvP, the more that with the way that GAC is set up, right? Like it's again kind of the fear, like the fear mongering or whatever you want to call it of, oh my gosh, this guy has way better datacrons than me. Like if he's doing it and if my opponents at this level are doing it and I want to stay at this level, like I better do it too. And like that's just sort of like part of this thing. Like engagement in datacrons really does start with everyone kind of engaging with it at a small bit. And right now there's definitely a population that will never engage with it, and they nothing will change that. Then there's a population that was like, again, that like swing, like I would do it, but I don't have time to do it. And
Right.
this would solve that for them.
I think also like a lot of people are a lot of people tend to be in the boat, so to speak, that by the time Conquest is done, like or by the time they're done and they get Red Crate, like they're exhausted with
They're
it and
just
they're like
done. Yeah.
I don't want to they don't even want to farm Datacrons
Right.
anymore. So
That's
you
usually
could
how I am on the second go round. Like I'm usually like
Yep.
all like robust about it. I'm like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
like let's go get them. And then like by the second one, I'm like, I got red crate and I haven't touched it in 4 days. Like,
Yeah, exactly. But now you could go in and just
Mm-hmm.
you could continually go in afterwards and say for like beforehand, if it was 4 or 5 days, if you're just not touching it, that's crystals you're not spending, right?
yep,
Whereas now you could go in and you could do the 50s again because you're
yep,
just simming.
absolutely, yeah. I see it as a huge win for
Hmm.
both sides. Like it's a good, like I wish it did count towards seed, and I said that to my Discord. Like this is a good, like I'd say compromise. Like I
Yeah.
wish I could do it like if I could have like my way, it would count towards feats, it would count towards whatever. But like then CG is probably not so happy with that solution. But like this is a good one where it's like, okay, I can sim this. It won't count towards feats, but at least it saves me time. Like it gives me back some time and it gives me back like effort into the game. So I can go put that elsewhere. Cause like I said, hitting a refresh button and then just saying that I want to do 20 of these, not hard at all. Like that's done in
Yeah.
5 minutes, less than. So
Yeah. I'm curious how many people Ando will like what you were saying now go into the 100s.
yeah, I mean that's always been the biggest thing. I'm literally usually when I'm playing Conquest, like my phone is slapping my face because I'm falling asleep at night. Like it's just all I can do at this point, right? Like it's not even the fact that like I'm like, oh yeah, like maybe I will dip into the 100s. It's literally just like it's the end of day kind of thing. I'm just exhausted. I'm
Hmm.
like, oh crap, I got to do Conquest. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said, like half the time I'm falling asleep doing it and watching it on auto, the AI playing it horribly, and like I'm just like, all right, like here, all right, we're done. Like thank God I can turn off my phone and go to bed. And but yeah,
Yep.
now that it's like an instantaneous thing, gosh, it might be
Hmm.
something that I think about. I don't know. See.
It's huge.
I mean, that's what she said. Um,
Nice.
um, I this conquest. I still have a ton of datacrons, so I went all in on it as much as I could. I actually missed like the third or fourth day
Mhm.
of conquest on my main account because I'm like I always do it like like toward the end of my day, like I'm about to go to bed, and I just passed out beforehand, and I woke up, and I just had this feeling of just like, oh my gosh, I skipped an entire day of conquest, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I skipped an entire day. I did. There's a whole day I didn't have to do conquest. I was pretty excited about it.
Ah.
but but I mean, and I was like, man, I really got to make sure I don't miss more of these days though, because these crons are so important. Unlike like set 8, I was like, I gotta get a few of these, but set 9, it's you got we're gonna be using those to the very bitter end. Set 8, I'm like, I don't need to use these much. There's like 4 or 5 teams that really want it, and otherwise,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the user interface stuff though, man, I'm very impressed. I think this is the best, well, like one of the best. I don't know. It's hard to grade all of the different things across the years. The like the 4x speed button was amazing.
Hmm.
There's been a lot of really player friendly updates. In fact, over the years, they're just so spread out that and we collectively just don't pay any attention to them because at some level we're like, yeah, this is how it should be. So we don't make a big deal of it. But there was so much stuff, and like that they said they were going to do fleet loadouts, and at one point they had said they were going to do fleet loadouts a long time ago, and then they're like, actually, we looked at it, and it's just like way too much time and effort. We can't do it. Sorry, guys. And so I was like, it's possible that happens again. But they actually did it, and it's going to take some time to get used to that size. But
That's what she said.
yeah,
She said-
I thought I was hoping that would, but like it's nice. Like it's there. It actually exists. It's a thing. They actually did the thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Color me impressed.
And like finally here, so that's good. And then they also added, how do you guys feel about this, adding like the relic level to the ship for like the pilots?
Yeah, I actually really like it because I mean, like, it's nice. It's like a good quick glance. I used to have to click on it and be like, okay, is this an R9 IG88 or I feel like for most people they're just gonna not care about it, and like again, like that's totally their prerogative. But like it is nice. I've already used it, so I mean it proves that there was some value in it.
Yeah, it's a good point.
No, I mean more info is better. I know that some people have been. I don't know how facetious they're being, but they're like, when is the PC release? Because this is too small of information to see on a phone. Which is also what she said.
I feel like I can't even go into my comment to that now. I was looking at it on my phone and it didn't look that small. I didn't think it was that bad, actually.
Wasn't that unappealing?
Yeah, it's totally fine. Yeah, no, I think like this is great.
Functional.
I'm curious like what the next quality of life update they will do is. I guess they're gonna have to do something with territory wars.
Yeah, I would think so. It seems
Solo.
like
Oh, go ahead.
even with GAC too, like PvP in general just feels like it's been like, hey, you guys just go over there in your corner for a bit.
Right. Well, I mean, to be fair, PvE kind of got shoved into that corner for a while too.
Oh, yeah.
Even as Conquest is crazy important for a lot of reasons, like people have merely endured it, and like territory battles, it's just like it got very stale for a long time, at least for a lot of guilds. And the raid was just on autopilot for most guilds.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, and I've talked about this a lot. I feel like it's just PvP is a hobby right now because GAC, you can win 60% of your matches if you're on top of things. If you really care, you can win 60%. The system set up that you can win more than you lose, and with skill squish and the way it's designed, you can that's sustainable. That's just a thing that's happened for a couple of years at this point for a lot of players. So, but you can't win if you're like, all right, I win 60% of my games instead of 50. I'm gonna work really hard and win 70%. The CG's like, no, that's not possible. Screw you.
Yeah.
Unless you're like in the top group and you're consistently beating those top guys, which I'm not, and I'm not going to be. And territory wars, unless you're in one of those really top guilds as well. I realized that there's maybe a little bit more ability for a guild to just like kind of coast and like never lose to some degree, but I think the more average like expectation is you're gonna win one or two here and there, and then if you lose two in a row, you'll get one that you can curb stomp someone, and you're just kind of kept right around 50% as well.
Yeah.
It's pretty much
So like extra effort isn't necessarily. You're rewarded for it, on like just a small level and the satisfaction level, and it's like, hey, I enjoy my hobby, like look at my cool boat in a bottle hobby, kind of thing. But you're not necessarily, like you don't try hard and get more rewards, as opposed to now, like there's a lot of there's more stuff like that for PVE. I'm hoping. Solo's been saying it forever, and I hope he's right. I hope TW gets a huge revamp. Hope it's
Yeah,
next.
it needs one.
Yeah, for sure.
And yet, I'm nervous for the people who love Territory Wars, because if they change it into something that's unrecognizable, it's like, well,
Yeah,
sorry, guy.
that's a huge problem. I feel like there's obviously the people that love Territory Wars, even as
Mhm.
it stands now.
Yeah.
Usually they recognize that, like, yes, they like it could use an update. I think everyone at this point is kind of a hey, a board update, like, or like increasing the board size isn't good for us
Mhm.
because it's still
It's just
so much time. Like,
just
there's
more
a
work.
time
Hmm.
aspect to this that isn't like feasible, but at the same time they're so like beholden to it that like a change where like they're like, hey, this is the new, you know like guild PvP mode,
Mhm.
and like if there's just something that like core group of people don't like, it's just not gonna be good. Because I mean, like, they've tried to tinker with it before, and I agreed with it, like the whole, like, I remember there was that time where you could like you had to like sit out characters basically. They
Yeah.
tried it, and like it was a huge uproar kind of thing. Um, so it's one of those things where like they've tried, I feel like, to change it before, and then they're like, "This is you're making this a joke," kind of thing. So I think it is a fine line, but yeah, I think just in PvP in general, like there's just got to be something else there.
Mhm. I I hope if they do that they leave it as somebody was talking to me and they were saying that they were hoping when they revamp it they make it like a three guild face off thing. And I really just only because I have the experience of it from
Yeah,
DSA, I'm like, please don't do that. It
yeah,
is awful.
yeah. It's
That
that's
sounds
that's why
awful.
I play other games. Like, even just I usually only dabble with them, and for a month I play other games that are in this, and I play DSA, and like,
Hmm.
because at the time everyone was like, what Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes needs is live PvP. I can
Right.
tell you, after playing DSA and MSF for a month, that was the worst game mode
No.
that was ever there. And like, I haven't heard anyone say it since. Like, everyone was like, that was a thing for the longest time. They're like, it was like the version of like fleet loadouts. Everyone's like, we need fleet loadouts. Like, for a while, everyone was like, we need live PvP. It's awful, like truly horrible, a terrible experience. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. And I'm so glad we never got it. Um, and yeah, like, and same thing. Like, yeah, I remember playing DSA, and it was that 1v1v1, and yeah, that's not it either. And
Mm-mm.
I don't know what it is, and that's probably very frustrating to CG as well, because the player base
Yeah.
wants something different, but I don't think we have a conclusive like thing of like what that thing is. So it's kind of hard to be like please people whenever they don't themselves know what they want.
Hmm.
But
That's a really good point. Yeah, because I don't even know what I would want to change it to.
uh,
Right. I want it to be more. If I could change Territory Wars, I would change. I mean, so this is all theoretical, of course. I think what I would want to do is I'd want to feel more impactful. Like, so even at times I'll go in and I'll be like, okay, I have an attack today, and my guild doesn't necessarily expect me that I have to, whatever. I'm more casual Territory War stuff, but like I'll go in and I'll clean out like 7 really tough teams. And it's like the zone's like, hey, there's still 43 teams of this sort left. And I'm like, that was a really cool thing. I just killed 7 Jabbas or something like that. And it made no difference. It's just like, enjoy your 140-ish points.
Right.
Like what I would want is to have it broken down into like just little, hey, okay, like every guild we're fighting over this, like contested battle stage. Like there's like a space station that both sides are arriving at the same time, and so you have to take over the command room, and you have to take over the
Mm.
munitions area, and you have the gun emplacements, and so you send in like 5-man teams to take over that, and you have like little more localized. It's like a 5-person like multiplayer GAC sort
Yeah.
of thing where it's like, oh, this is awesome. Like the 5 of us are up against like their best 5, and we're gonna like take this room out, and that's gonna be our guild's thing. Like that. Then my contributions won't be worthless. It'll be like I might have actually turned the tide of the whole thing, as opposed to it just feeling so like, all right, I did my attacks. I hope 49 other people do theirs.
Yeah. Hopefully we get through the first wall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know, like just make it go down to a smaller level. To me, that would be more cooler. And then I'd be like, yeah, I'd want more territory war Omicrons for sure.
Good point.
So we're at 40 minutes, Sarah. What do you want to do?
All right. Um, I guess we hit everything, right?
I think
In
so.
the
Yeah.
title update?
Yeah, like we didn't talk about Leviathan, but there wasn't anything about Leviathan yet.
No, there's no Leviathan and there's no Grand Inquisitor. Everyone's mad.
I think my favorite comment on my video today, though, I pinned it, was somehow Grand Inquisitor didn't come back.
I did see that actually.
Yeah, instead of somehow Palpatine return, I guess is the right word. Somehow Grand Inquisitor didn't return. Yeah. So you guys should go check out Ando. He's got a lot of good points, a lot of good stuff going on his channel, and on Twitch. Links and stuff in the video description on my channel and on Sarah's.
Yep, we'll link it all. And then I guess that's it.
Mine's been linked actually, but that's cool. I'm glad you're gonna get with that program.
I linked it the last time we had Ando on. Thank you very much.
I've actually just left mine linked. Like I have a template, so he's just been linked for a while now.
Nice.
Perfect. I guess that's it.
Oh,
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, so happy to have you on with us, Ando. Thanks for coming out and talking to us, providing your insights. You always have a good angle.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, take care.